Taxation is a heavy burden, no doubt, but in some areas of the US, the weight which is put onto the taxpayer's shoulders is far worse than in other areas. Businesses often operate in different states than they are registered simply because of the tax advantages. Individuals, on the other hand, don't have that advantage, and this has caused some major changes with people fleeing in search of a better life. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to talk about taxation, we're going to talk about different states of the US, we'll talk about population and so much more. Let's begin. This website is WalletHub.com. I've shown you it here on the channel before. It's a great resource. Definitely check it out. The link will be in the description under sources as always, or you can just go to WalletHub.com and you'll see it definitely there on the main page. So we'll get into this as quickly and concisely as I possibly can. Tax season can be stressful for the millions of Americans who owe money to Uncle Sam, the average household paying $5,700 in federal income taxes. But there's a difference now. Taxpayers in the most expensive states pay 3 times more than those in the cheapest states. So I want you to think about this for a second. Two individuals, they may earn the same amount of money. They may be paying the same amount for their house, for their cars, for their general living expenses. Yet, one person is prospering and the other is not. And taxation oftentimes is the reason. And we have to figure there is such a big difference of 3 times the amount. We're not talking about 1% or 2%. We're talking about 3 times. This is significant. And this factors in all different types of taxes. Because if you say, for example, this is what we pay in sales tax here, or this is the sales tax there, and try to compare the two, you're not getting the full picture. Same with income tax. If your income tax is one rate, another person in the other state is earning this much, taxes this much, you have to factor in all taxes for a particular individual. All right. Low income taxes don't always mean low taxes as a whole. For example, Washington citizens don't pay income tax. They're still spending 8% of their annual income on sales and excise taxes. Texas residents, for example, don't pay income tax, but they spend 1.86 on their income and real estate taxes, one of the highest rates in the country, and then it goes on. So there are different areas, they've got different taxes, but ultimately when you total it all up, you can see which taxes are highest in which places, lowest in other places, and then see, okay, where's the cheapest place, where's the most expensive place when you look at taxes specifically. So I will show you that. Now, this is one of the reasons why this site is good. It's got information like this where you can graphically see it for yourself. So, what's the answer? What is the most heavily taxed state? Can you guess? Well, I'll just show you. Illinois. Illinois is taxed so heavily, and you can see that here, in absolute last place. And you can see others for yourself if you're interested. Just run your mouse over this, and you can see the different states. Remember, it's not just income tax, it's not just sales tax, it's everything is taken into account here based on their information from the BLS, from other sources. All right. I won't get into all of this. It's a big chart here I wanted to show you. But essentially what you're looking at, state and local tax breakdown, okay? So if I show you this, Alabama being on the top of the list with their effective real estate tax rate, 1.42. If you move across, then you get their real estate tax rank, effective vehicle property tax, and so on. Goes all the way through. And then if I scroll to the right, effective total state and local tax rates on the median U.S. household. All right? Alabama happens to be 9.4%. If I scroll down all the way, you can see this, Wyoming, go through Wisconsin, and so on. So if I look for Illinois, I can see right here, going across, I'll get that number of 14.89%. Obviously a very significant tax rate when you factor in everything together. So this is one thing that you definitely want to check out for yourself, depending on which state you want to live in or do live in. You can see this for yourself and just get a comparison. It's really, really good, really informative. I've been finding over these videos here, talking with a lot of people over the US, talking with people all over the world, in fact, and I've been getting a handle on what's happening with these particular economic situations and how that affects people's actual lives. Not just looking at charts and diagrams and statistics, but actually talking to people and listening more specifically. And what I have found is that a lot of people pick up and go. And that's a fact. A lot of people don't want to pick up and go. It's not a nice thing, especially if you have family in one area and you don't want to have to leave. But what do? What do you do when you seem to be, have no other options? Well, I don't blame anybody for wanting to go to a place where all of a sudden they're able to keep more money because taxation is lower. And this is one thing that I tried to talk about, but a lot of people don't want to hear it, is that if you can somehow operate as a corporation, you can open up your corporation in a different state that has better tax rates and you can take advantage. Other people like to work as a contractor. Okay? If you work as a contractor to a company, they will be able to give you better deals, basically. Even if you're earning the same amount of money, you're going to be able to write off your expenses. You're going to be able to take advantage of the loopholes, basically. Not even loopholes, it's basically just the way the system works. And that's the difference between people who are, working one type of job or working another type of job. A lot of people, if you can become a contractor to a lot of the places that you work at, especially in the small to medium-sized businesses. I think that this will give people a really big advantage. So that's something you don't hear everywhere. So I hope you do appreciate that. All right, quickly, taxes by state. Now the lowest taxation here overall is Alaska. Then we look at Delaware, Montana, Nevada, and so on. You can move down. Again, break it all down. I'm not going to get into all of it. You'll fall asleep. The effective total state and local tax rates on the median household income. Alaska, 5.67%. If I were to scroll down to the bottom, number 51, you would get Illinois. So you'll see that for yourself here. They give you the difference between the state and U.S. average, 47% in the case of Alaska. If you wanted to scroll across, you can see their overall rank based on the cost of living index. Anyway, all you need to know here is where Illinois stands. And that's really one of the messages that I wanted to get into today. Well, just quickly showing you again that Illinois being in last place on the right-hand side, annual state and local taxes on the median state household, $8,000 and change. All right, let's look at this. Lowest gas taxes. Alaska at the top of the list. Highest gas taxes. New York being number 1. I found this interesting. Hawaii, you could explain that. You could explain things being very expensive in Hawaii. No matter how you look at that. Things have to get there. It's in the middle of the Pacific. It's obviously suffering in terms of, imports and exports. It's a lot of shipping. It's a lot of headache to get things in out of there. That's why obviously it's important to have as much local things from Hawaii as possible, and of course anywhere else, but particularly with Hawaii. So sure, if there's a gas tax, I could see. But in a place like New York and Washington and even California, Pennsylvania, all of these places should not have higher gas taxes. They should not have higher prices. There's no way that should be a reason other than the money is being squandered. And they simply take. All right. Food tax rates. The worst states for that: Louisiana, Idaho, Kansas, Mississippi, Tennessee. You have to think about that when you have food taxation and how much of a burden this is on people. Because ultimately, people have to buy food multiple times a day. That's going to be a very, very big problem. Also, 35 states with no food tax. That's interesting. I've covered this before, but you can see this. 2016-2017 net population change by state. Texas clearly seeing an influx. However, Illinois losing population. Now the numbers are fairly significant. I mean, it's not as many as, let's say, Texas, Florida, California. They're seeing big numbers, but still it shows us that people are leaving Illinois rather than moving in. And they're the worst state for losing population. In fact, covered it here before, but they actually moved down in rankings in terms of their overall population as a state. And they're moving to neighboring cities and states. They're moving to other areas in general. And I don't blame anybody, really, when you look at it. I've heard from so many people out there who live in Illinois or did live in Illinois, and they're telling me the same information. Too much money I'm spending. Taxes are crazy. Too much crime. The corruption in the government. Everything else. So why would people want to stay? If they have the ability to move, you know what? They do. It's just the way it is. There's a report here by Moodys. And of course, it's really long, but I wanted to talk about the population, the participation rate here. A decline in labor force participation has been especially pronounced in Illinois, with the decline since late 2007 above average for the Midwest. The retreat in the labor force is discouraging because it suggests fewer job opportunities and reduced confidence in the labor market. Some of the drop is also the result of demographic factors, mainly in the aging population. Okay? It's a 40-year low for Illinois. It's interesting. Truly, the way things are going, when you look at, I could say, for example, the total population of the U.S. is this, but if I break it down into the different states, I get a different idea. If I say the average tax rate is this, but I break it down by state, different picture again. If I look at participation rates, labor force, if I look at the unemployment rates, if I look at different things, I start to break it down by the states. I get a different picture. Break it down by cities, different picture again. So that's what I hope that you do. And yes, we can make generalizations, sure, but ultimately we want to really be breaking it down further and further. And that's when you do your own analysis. Because of course, you're not just watching videos, you're doing your own analysis. At least if you're on this channel, you've realized that by now. A lot of people still don't get that, and you see them trolling, but I know a lot of you that have been here for a while. You simply take this information, use it, move on, and add that to your own analysis, your own breakdowns that you do on a different daily basis. So I know that you'll appreciate this very much, to always be able to, what I call, either zoom out to get that overhead perspective, or zoom in this case, when you want to see information broken down in this way. So that's all for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel. We are heading towards 100,000 subscribers, and I would just want to say hello to all of the new subscribers out there. Thank you for joining me here. And last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know you'll find my books, The Money GPS and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. If you go over to Amazon, there's a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.